So this is going to be a brief overview of a Cinewhoop that I'm building. Going to run through all the parts, going to get some test footage, and then at the end I'm going to do a brief overview and see how everything's working. So starting out, I'm using the Bee35 frame from Speedybee. This is going to be an awesome little quad. It's a 3.5-inch platform. It has some nice CNC machined parts on the front as well as the bottom to fit the O3 air unit. To go along with that, I'm pairing it with the 23mm Cinewhoop motors from FPV Cycle. The flight controller and ESC stack I'm using is the Speedybee F405 Mini. So this is going to be a great little stack. And then, like I mentioned, I am using an O3 air unit. I'm going to be using this to grab backup footage. And finally, for the receiver, I'm using TBS Crossfire, the Nano RX with the Immortal T antenna. So there we go. Those are all the parts I'm going to be using. Going to go ahead and throw this together, then we'll get to some test footage. All right, so how does it fly? Honestly, it flies really well. I'm coming from an old Shen Drones Squirt V2, and while that drone served its purpose and it flew decently, it definitely flew like a big sluggish Cinewhoop. It had the large ducts on it. Anytime any gust of wind would hit those ducts, it would kind of take it, shake it around. If you've ever flown a Cinewhoop with that style duct, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This, on the other hand, does not fly how I'm used to a Cinewhoop flying at all. It is rock solid in the wind. I think part of that is because it's a little bit on the heavier side. I forgot to weigh everything, so I'm going to put the total right here. But with an 1100 milliamp hour battery from Tattoo, as well as a full-sized GoPro Hero 12, it's definitely on the heftier side. I kind of thought that maybe because of that, it would be sluggish, but that is not the case. Realistically, it has more than enough power for any type of Cinewhoop flying you'll be doing. You could try to freestyle it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. So far as tuning for this, all I've done is throw my rates on it, and then in beta flight, in the presets tab, I searched for a Cinewhoop preset, threw that on here, and that's pretty much been about it. So moving on to the frame itself here, what you get for $40 is incredibly well made. You get some great CNC machined parts on the front as well as the bottom for the O3 air unit. You get a ton of great quality 3D printed parts. And my favorite feature is actually this top strap plate. So all you have to do to remove the strap is to take these 4 screws off. The whole plate comes off, and then you can kind of adjust the strap however you want. And this actually prevents any rubbing between the flight controller and the strap. Speaking of the flight controller, do not try to use a 30x30 stack in this frame. Online, they say that you can use a 30x30 stack, but if you're using an O3 air unit, like I feel like most people will be doing, it straight up doesn't work. There's just not enough clearance between the flight controller and the O3 air unit whenever you get everything sandwiched in there. So instead, I am using an F405 Mini flight controller and ESC stack by Speedybee. And that fits in here really well, although it is still a pretty tight fit. If I were to do this build again, I would probably be doing something like an all-in-one board. An all-in-one is just going to give you a little bit more space and probably just be a little bit less hassle all around to get everything squeezed in here. But it does all fit and it works really well. All right, so that's gonna do it for this video. Again, just a brief overview of this frame and the build that I decided to do. Speedybee has been knocking it out of the park recently, and if you're gonna be building a Cinewhoop anytime soon, this should definitely be on your list of possible frames. So yeah, let me know what you think. Be sure to hit that like button, and if you want to see more FPV content in the future, be sure to hit that subscribe button as well. Until next time, peace.